You got this. I believe in you. My name is Jay Cohen, and I am a cookbook author. I worked in some of New York's best restaurants and test kitchens. And now I consider myself the king of dinner parties. I'm obsessed with cooking for my friends. My goal is to create delicious, reliable recipes that are gonna make you an entertaining superstar. It's stunning, but so simple. Let's make this easy. Hi besties, I'm Jay Cohen here with some reliable recipes for easy entertaining that are going to taste like you tried. Today we're doing a combo of these sweet and sour lamb meatballs over pearled couscous, as well as these cardamom snickerdoodles that are gonna make your whole kitchen smell incredible. We're gonna get started with our cookie dough because, as always, when I'm planning any type of gathering where I'm cooking for those I love, I wanna make sure that it is as easy as possible. So we're gonna have the cookie dough done and in the fridge, ready to bake by the time we start our meatballs. Over here, I got my stand mixer. We are going to make everything in here. It's a very classic Snickerdoodle recipe with just a couple of additions that give it that little zhuzh that people are gonna kind of lose their mind over. I've got 2½ cups of all-purpose flour, and to this we're going to add in 1½ teaspoons of cream of tartar. This is an ingredient that is going to add so much chewiness and fluffiness to your cookie. It truly is the staple that gives a Snickerdoodle that beautiful kind of pillowy texture. Then we're gonna add in 1 teaspoon of baking soda and 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. We're just gonna give this a little whisk to make sure it's nice and incorporated. And now time to start the dough. I have 2 sticks or 8 ounces of unsalted butter. I let it come to room temperature. Again, plan ahead. A couple hours, morning before you're looking to make any recipe that needs room temperature butter, pull it out because there's nothing worse than trying to make cookie dough with rock hard butter. To our butter, we're gonna throw in 1 cup of granulated sugar and 1/4 cup of light brown sugar. I'm gonna mix this on medium speed just to cream it together until it's light and fluffy. An important part when making cookie dough is you always want to pause and scrape the sides of the bowl to make sure everything is so well incorporated and we do not have any rogue streaks of butter. Now that it's light and fluffy, I'm going to keep this motor running on low, and I'm gonna crack in 2 eggs. I want to incorporate the first egg before I add the second. Same deal as before, we are going to scrape the sides, make sure everything is nice and incorporated. And while we have the mixer stopped, we're gonna throw in 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract and 1 teaspoon of orange zest. This is something that is not traditional, but the combination of citrus with the warm spices of cinnamon and cardamom, it's just magic. It's not enough to make these cookies taste overly orangey or citrusy, but it's definitely gonna give it that little bit of I don't know what's in this, but it's so delicious. All right. And last but not least, we're gonna add in all of our dry and just mix it until it is incorporated. We have a nice smooth dough. Whenever you add your dry ingredients, make sure you start on the lowest speed possible or else you'll end up with flour all over the counter, which is not what we want. We need it in the dough. Let it really start to combine and come together, and then you can bump the speed up to medium. See, very easy. I will say, I've become very much a Snickerdoodle fan. My husband loves chocolate chip cookies, but his critique always is that there's too much chocolate in it. And so I just started making Snickerdoodles to give him that really nice, buttery, soft dough without any of the chocolate. And it's just become kind of a fan favorite in our house, especially when we entertain, because I think it's the biggest power move at the end of a meal when you pop in a tray of cookies and you get to pull it out of the oven warm and toasty, and everyone kind of loses their mind, so freshly baked cookies is always the move. So one last time, I'm just going in with my spatula to make sure that there's no streaks of flour I'm missing. And now we're gonna chill our dough. I chill my dough for an hour before baking, but what I like to do is you can definitely just chill it like this and scoop it after, but I find it's easier to scoop now when it's freshly made and then chill the balls of scoop dough before we roll them and dust them in our cinnamon cardamom sugar. All right. So I'm just using a 3 tablespoon size scoop. And I'll throw them right onto this parchment lined sheet pan. They don't have to be perfect because we're gonna re-roll them once they're nice and chilled and firmed. All right. I'm gonna pop this tray into the fridge and let it chill for 1 hour. So obviously in the dough, the little twist is that we have that orange zest, but in the sugar that we're gonna be rolling our Snickerdoodles in, we're adding both cinnamon and cardamom. If you've never played with cardamom before, it's one of my favorite spices of all time. Super warm, super floral. It's the perfect pairing in this cookie. We're just gonna take a 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, throw in 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of ground cardamom, and a little pinch of salt. Whenever there's sugar, we gotta add in a little salt. Just give that a little whisk to combine. Oh my God, already smells so fragrant. Amazing, and when we come back, we are going to roll our cookies and get them in the oven. So this is why I love to scoop the dough and then chill them, because it makes it super easy to then just take them out, give them a nice little roll to make them just a little smoother. Don't have to be perfect, just smooth it out a bit. And then we're just gonna toss it in this cardamom cinnamon sugar, just to coat, just like that. So we're gonna keep going until all of our cookies are rolled and coated. And as I'm doing this, I'm throwing them right back onto this little tray that's gonna hold everything. Just makes it easier for prep because you can do this step like couple of days in advance of baking. You could even freeze them like this, which is really, really fun because then you could just always pull out some frozen cookie dough to pop into the oven. And the best part is that when you bake fresh cookies, when you have people over, your whole kitchen is perfumed with these flavors, and it just makes everyone feel so like warm and cozy. So not only are they delicious, but they're gonna be so excited and comforted by what you're making for them. I love these little flecks of orange zest that you see in this dough. It's gonna go so great with the cardamom and the cinnamon. Also, I don't care how old your guests are, make sure you always have a thing of milk in the fridge, because every time I make these, it does not matter. Everyone wants a glass of milk to go with these cookies. All of our dough is coated in that beautiful cardamom cinnamon sugar. And now we're gonna pop these into the oven and get them ready while we work on our meatballs. I've got a couple of parchment lined sheet pans here. And I'm just going to do about 6 per tray. You just wanna keep your cookie dough spaced out about 2 inches apart. And now we're gonna pop this into a 400-degree oven for just 10 to 12 minutes until it's nice and golden and puffed. Ooh, I am so excited for your kitchen to smell like it does right now. The cookies are ready, and I could smell that cardamom. Oh my God, these beautiful pillowy domes. Picture perfect, and we're gonna let those cool slightly while we work on our meatballs. We're making sweet and sour lamb meatballs with Herby couscous. It's one of my favorite weeknight meals. I started doing it just because like a meatball is always going to be the easiest thing to serve for a crowd, to whip up in no time, to use whatever you have in the fridge. And this is pretty much a recipe of ingredients that I always have on hand, minus a pound of like ground meat, which will always be in the freezer. So we're gonna start off by getting some water going to cook our pearled couscous. I've got 2¼ cups of water because we're gonna be cooking 1½ cups of couscous. But while that comes up, we're gonna start chopping our herbs. I like to make a little herb mixture, and this is just some of my favorite things that I have on hand: parsley, cilantro, mint. These are flavors that just really go well together. But that being said, if you're someone who's not a huge fan of cilantro, you can omit it. If you only have one of these herbs and not all, you can totally swap it out. We're just looking for about 2 cups of herbs total. I'm just gonna go in and give them a nice little fine chop. The best part is that we're chopping all of our herbs now, and this is gonna be everything we need for our garnish, everything that we need for our meatballs, and everything that we need for our couscous in one go. All right, perfect. Again, this doesn't have to be extra fine. A little bit of texture is always really nice. All right, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just take about 2 tablespoons of our herb mixture and put that to the side for garnish. For the meatballs, we have 1 pound of ground lamb here. I love lamb in this recipe. It adds that perfect flavor to pair with the herbs, the pomegranate molasses. It's a little bit like the ultimate protein for a sweet and sour application. That being said, you could swap this out with ground beef, you could swap this out with ground turkey. Whatever you have on hand is gonna work. First thing we're gonna do is we're going to mince up some shallots to go inside. Just 2 medium ones. I like the little chunks of shallot. You could also totally use grated any type of allium you want, sliced scallions, grated yellow onion. It's all perfect. Our water's boiling, so I'm just gonna move over here quickly, add in a good old pinch of salt and our pearled couscous. You'll sometimes see this sold as Israeli couscous or petitim, and it's absolutely perfect because they're just little bits of pasta. I'm adding this in, and I'm just gonna cook this covered for about 12 to 15 minutes until the couscous is nice and tender. You wanna make sure that you reduce your heat or else it will bubble over. Keep an eye on it, but we can go back to making our meatballs. So here we have our lamb. I'm gonna add in minced shallots, as well as about 3 tablespoons of our herb mixture. A little extra, boop. And then our spices. 1/2 teaspoon of ground cumin, 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. I'm telling you, just a little hint of cinnamon adds such beautiful warmth to this dish. It does not taste anything more than beautifully comforting. 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, 1/2 teaspoon of ground pepper, 1/4 cup of dried breadcrumbs, and then we're just gonna go in and give this a good mix. I'm gonna grab a plate here, and then we're just gonna portion our meatballs. About 3 tablespoons, I find, is a really nice size, so that we can get a golden color, and they're still nice and tender and not well done on the inside. One of my favorite parts about this recipe, it's not only versatile, you could switch up the spices, you could switch up the herbs, you could switch up the grain that we're using, but you can also scale it up. If you got a lot more people coming, double it. It doubles so beautifully. Once you have the portion, we're just gonna go through, give them a nice little roll so they're even, and we can sear them up really beautifully. Let's fry up some meatballs. I got a cast iron skillet that I'm heating up over medium-high heat with about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. One of my favorite parts of this recipe is that we're relying on the flavor we're about to build up in the pan, and then we're gonna use that as the sauce for the couscous with the herbs. So it really is kind of like stretching every ounce of flavor to get the most out of it. Just gonna go in with our meatballs, get a nice sear on them, rolling them, turning them as needed until they're golden brown all over. The trick to a perfect golden meatball, A, is making sure your pan is hot enough. You don't want to crowd it. You can see there's still plenty of space around. It got that beautiful searing sound. You already get that aroma of the herbs with the shallot and those spices. Gorgeous little golden color. We're gonna turn them over. And that's the name of the game. We keep turning and rolling until they're golden all over. It should take about 6 to 8 minutes total. Obviously, since we love multitasking, our couscous is ready. It's beautifully tender and soaked up all that liquid. I'm gonna put this to the side to steam for about 5 minutes. Then I'm gonna fluff it with a fork, and that should be just enough time when we're gonna throw it into the pan. You can obviously bake these meatballs, but here's the reason why I pan fry them. I wanna build up all that flavor in the pan because that's what's going to be what really soaks up in our couscous and adds all the flavor to it. That's another reason why we went for this size meatball, is that it's the perfect amount. By the time it's all golden, it's gonna be cooked through. All right, as you can see, we have some nice, gorgeous, beautiful golden color. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw in 3 tablespoons of pomegranate molasses. And we're gonna let that cook down and caramelize. So what is pomegranate molasses? This might be a new ingredient to you, and if so, I'm so excited for you because it's one of my favorites. It really just is a reduction of pomegranate juice until all of that sugar makes it nice and thick and rich and caramelly. It's incredibly tangy, it's incredibly flavorful. It should always be in your pantry. So really what I'm doing here is I'm just candying these meatballs, letting that molasses really stick to the sides of them. Beautiful. You'll find pomegranate molasses in most grocery stores these days, either in the international section or alternative sweeteners. It's very popular or very easily found online. All right. We'll be right back. All right, we're gonna pull out our meatballs. They're nice and perfect. I'm actually gonna turn the heat off. Of course, if you can't find pomegranate molasses, you actually could make it yourself. It's just a reduction of pomegranate juice, though you could also use something like a combination of honey and lemon juice, anything that's gonna be a little sweet and a little sour. To all of this goodness, this is why I fried our meatballs. We're gonna add all of that couscous right in. Oh my God, and it's already picking up those incredible pan drippings. I'm gonna add in the rest of our herbs and a nice big pinch of salt. It picks up this gorgeous caramel color from the molasses. You get all that flavor from the lamb, any leftover bits of little caramelized shallot that fell out. Nothing goes to waste. I'll give it a little try for seasoning. Oh my gosh, so good. Wow, you get that beautiful sweetness and tang, and the herbs just brighten it all up. As always, I love a recipe in which you can serve them straight into the dish you made it. So I'm just gonna throw the meatballs right on top of our couscous. And then I'm gonna finish it up with some pomegranate. This is totally optional, but it just adds those little bites of sweetness that I find so lovely. And of course, the 2 tablespoons of herbs that we reserved in the very beginning. It's never lost on me how gorgeous this dish is, with just a little bit of attention to fresh herbs, using your pan to really build up flavor and a little pop of color from the pomegranate. It's a simple dish that packs in so much flavor and is going to impress everyone at your table. I'm famous for burning my mouth on everything. Right, and herby and tangy. The spices sing beautifully. Even if you don't like lamb, I'm telling you, this is the dish that's going to convert you. And then, of course, we have our Snickerdoodles. The whole kitchen smells like cardamom, which is my dream. We're gonna come in and take a look. They're beautifully fluffy and soft. Mm. The little hint of orange zest. It's not too citrusy, and yet it cuts through all the richness, pairs so well with the spices. This is a meal that your guests are gonna go crazy for. They're gonna be begging for the recipes, and luckily, you know where to send them. I'm so glad you got 2 new recipes for your arsenal to entertain everyone you love. Remember, you got this. I believe in you. And when you make these dishes, send me tons of pictures at Jake Cohen, and I'll see you next time.